Hi everybody, I'm Natalie. I am a powerlifter for Team GB and a strength coach for busy, decision fatigued women and overwhelmed moms. Today I'm going to be talking about my journey and how strength training can help you in your everyday life on the Prosperity Show.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, your go-to place for exclusive transformational content that tackles real pain points and offers genuine solutions. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we're going to be diving into something powerful, or dare I say, we're going to be lifting heavy things. Now, Natalie, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I am super fine, and I can't wait to dive into this segment where we're going to be talking about your journey and what it is that you're doing to help and empower women out there. Now, for those that are tuning in, as I've already said, this is the show for genuine solutions. Joining us today is Natalie Hurdley, a powerhouse strength coach, award-winning Team GB powerlifter, and founder of NH Personal Training. So she empowers women from complete beginners to postpartum moms that are balancing family life and lifting goals. What she does is help them rediscover strength, resilience, and confidence. So if you've ever felt stuck or overwhelmed or unsure about maybe training post-baby or maybe just returning into heavy lifting, Natalie solves that gap with time-efficient, evidence-based coaching programs that actually work. That way you are safe and you're not going to be hurting yourself. Now, Natalie, I could go on and talk about things I am not even qualified to talk about. I read somewhere that you just used to swim, cycle, and even play football before you discovered deadlifts. What made the transition?
I grew up in a sporting family. So having sport in my life was natural. I swam from an early age, played football from an early age. I played professional football when I was a kid for 8 seasons, and I got injured right when I was kind of leaving school, going into what would have been a professional adult team, and I broke my arm. All my sort of plans, if you like, I'm going to be a professional footballer, this is what I was going to do, all kind of went because I was no longer in education. Going into what I was hoping was going to be my career was gone because I failed the medical for the team. They didn't know how long it was going to take. Women's football was nowhere near what it is now. It's yesterday, just yesterday, the women's football team, England team, celebrated winning the Euros. And the crowd and the exposure around that is so electrifying right now. It's insane, but it's brilliant for me to watch. But it wasn't like that when I was playing. It's come so far, which is beautiful. Such a great thing. And I'm really, really happy for the ladies. It's brilliant how far it's come, and it's going to be interesting. Now I'm a mum to a little girl. It's going to be interesting to see how far women's football goes from here, considering it's gone from when I played. So yeah, kind of when I was growing up, football, swimming, and cycling were what I did. I've always been able to use exercise because it's been natural to me. It's been a natural part of my life as sort of a stress relief. So that's how I've always managed stress, and that's one of the things I teach in my coaching, because so many people come to me who are overwhelmed and stressed just with adult life, let alone what else is going on. And getting them to move their body consistently is just a part of what I coach. And then I was in the coaching space. I founded my business as soon as I left college. And then I was looking after young athletes who wanted to go not just into football, but into any sort of what we would call grassroots sports. And then when I was, I think, 28 or 29 years old, so quite a lot young, further along, I was training myself in the gym, and I had a powerlifting coach approach me and say, "You're quite strong. Why don't you come and train with us?" And I was like, "No, no, I am not strong at all. I have never done powerlifting in my life." And he went, "You'll be fine. Just come and train with us." And I said, "No." A couple of weeks later, he came back and he said, "You played football for your team. You cycled and you swam for your county. Why don't you want to come and give this a go and maybe join Team GB and perform for your country?" And I was like, "You're talking about another life ago, and all of that was cardio based. I am not strong. I'm not powerful in that way." And he said, "No, but you will be." I was like, "No." And then a couple of weeks later, came back and he was like, "Come on, give it a go." I said, I tell you what, I'm just about to finish my training cycle, and then I'm going to have 2 weeks of a physical break. After I come back, I'll come and train with you for a week and we'll see. And that was it. I trained with them. The team were absolutely fantastic, welcoming, lots of banter. That was in the September 2019. December 2019, they had a charity competition. And I was like, yeah, I've always done little bits for charity, so why not? Thought I was going to get to dress up in a Christmas outfit and just lift whatever I felt like lifting. That wasn't the case. They were like, "No, here is a full-on uniform. Get on there and let's see what you can do." And by that time, I'd already entered, so I couldn't pull out. I was in it. And that was December 2019. Absolutely loved the day. Had the competition in Birmingham. And everybody was so supportive. The atmosphere was fantastic. And really just enjoyed it. The thing that I liked about it that I'd never experienced before was it was me versus me. So when I step on the platform, even now, even though I am performing for a team, I'm still on that stage on my own, on that platform on my own. And it is always me versus me. Can I do better than what I did last time I was on that platform? And that's what I love about it, because when you were a kid, that team element was so important. When you were a teenager, that social element was so important, so grounding, and taught me so much. But as an adult, I've just found that not being able to kind of blame or pass responsibility to anybody else and it's all on me is another lesson, but a better lesson to fit my life for where I am as an adult, if that makes sense. And that's what I love about it.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking us through that sort of journey. Now, let's just go back a little bit. You did mention you were brought up in a sporting family. Now, just so we can understand the dynamics, were the parents also sports people, or were the siblings or the people that were just around you sports fanatics?
So my mom, not at all. My mom never did sports, wasn't interested in, still isn't interested in sports at all. My My mom is very active in her day-to-day life, but not from an exercise or sports perspective. She's just extremely active. She's got a physical job. She walks everywhere. So she's physical in that respect, and she's very fit in that respect. My dad used to play football, and then he went into coaching before he stopped that part of his life. And both sides of the family watch a lot of sport, and they're very sporty in that respect. But it was only really their encouragement to me that got me into it.
Mm.
But
So,
for them, it was about getting me in the. I didn't grow up in a very nice area, so it was about getting me in the right social circles for discipline, keeping me active and keeping me healthy in the right way, and making sure I sort of was brought out of that environment because they couldn't afford to move out of that environment.
absolutely. Was there any expectation on your part now as a kid to actually excel and do well in this particular disciplines?
I think from my parents' perspective, it was just a case of she needs to go and she needs to show up and she just needs to try her best.
Mm.
And then when she stops enjoying it, we'll find something else.
Okay.
They didn't mind what I was doing as long as it was something productive and something active. And they sort of left that side of it up to me. But I really enjoyed what I was doing. So I stayed with it. And that consistency obviously teaches you a lot. And then because you're growing up with the same people, you get the social circles to give you a lot. And the confidence grows and grows and grows because you've been doing it for so long. So you learn so many lessons, I think. But for me, there was always a high expectation. One, I was the only person in the family doing it. I'm an only child, so there was that expectation. I think you put a lot of pressure on yourself anyway, and that's, for some people, that's quite natural, and for me that's quite natural. Where powerlifting as an adult, I've learned to sort of taper that down and go, all I want to do at this competition is better than I did at the last competition.
Yeah.
So again, learning curve.
Certainly, and I quite like that because you took on that self-ownership from a very early age. Now, you did also paint a picture that your parents would have wanted you to be in a sort of different way of life and things like that. Had you maybe not been exposed to the sports, the activities that you went on and did that then helped you with the discipline and also the character, what would it have been like? Like what was that which you were supposed to not experience?
Well, I can only imagine, obviously, but a lot of the people that I went to school with ended up in jail.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm not talking high school. I'm talking younger than that.
Mm.
Not high school, because high school I was already. By the time I got to high school, I was already in it. I was already invested in the sports side. So it was younger than that. But a lot of those ended up in jail. So that could only be a possibility. But that's the circles I would have been in. So maybe.
Absolutely. And it's obviously all these contrasts that you look back and you say, hey, had that not happened or had I not gone to that particular discipline, things like this would have ended up happening. And congratulations. I mean, obviously that wouldn't have been a good turnout and things like that.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
you were offered an opportunity to lift with the team. And one of the things that you said was no, because you were following your own regiment and things of that nature. So many people say no at the very first time, and obviously you then went on and agreed and things of that nature. Would you have regretted had you not continued to work with this team that went on and you did it at the GB?
It's hard to say whether I would have regretted it or not. I wouldn't have known any different. So it's hard to say whether I would have regretted it. I also try not to live with regret. I try not to live by regret at all. I feel like every opportunity is just an opportunity to learn, and you either learn from taking it or you learn from not. I'm very pleased that I said yes, and I love training with the team. I love competing. The relationships that I've built, the people that I've met, the things that I've learned about myself, about the sport, about the body, about lifting, the things that I've learned that I've been able to implement in my business and pass on to clients has been incredible. And all of that has just been an absolute blessing. So I'm really pleased that I stopped to think about it, and I had the confidence, if you like, to go, I'll give it a go. Even though I thought it wasn't going to go anywhere at first.
But you ended up competing for Team GB. How did you feel when you actually then stood on that podium as an elite athlete? Were there any sort of pre-lift jitters that you almost made you back out or things of that nature?
There wasn't anything that made me nearly back out, but I don't think it hit until I went abroad to compete. I think I had 2 competitions and then we went into lockdown. So I pretty much I'd only been lifting with them for 6 months, and then we went into lockdown. So I switched my focus then from lifting into flexibility and mobility. So when I was at home, my entire training was flexibility and mobility, and that was pretty much it. I didn't do any strength work at all during lockdown. And then when we came out of that, I just felt like my body was in a better starting position to build strength because my joints were being looked after. And obviously, as we get older, that gets harder, gets more important. Being in lockdown, you were naturally less active. So you were sitting more, which means your hips got hit more. Everything kind of seized up a little bit more. So for me, that was really important. And then when I did go back into lifting, I felt like my weights just climbed quite quickly because my body was ready for it. And that was really good. It wasn't for another year that I made it to Poland. And it wasn't until I was on the platform in Poland, not even on the platform in Poland. It wasn't until I was lifting a trophy and getting my first gold medal in Poland with the flag behind me. It wasn't until then coming off there going, this just happened. You know, I was so in it that I didn't realize what it was until that moment. And then that night I remember just sitting and reflecting, and that's when it really hit me.
See, I think it's Kobe Bryant or one of these extreme athletes that says the game is just a rehearsal. You know, you've done this in your head, you've done the moves, you've done the power cleans, the squats and all those things in your head. And when you're doing it on the stage, it's still in your head, you're just doing like, we've done this before and things of that nature. And it's only when people come around and maybe start sprinkling champagne at you, then you're like, wait a minute, this wasn't in the gym. Is that what you're saying there?
Yeah, I completely agree. I couldn't have said it better. That's put brilliantly. And I think it was about 3 or 4 days after I lifted because I stayed out there with the rest of the team as they were lifting. And it wasn't until that we were at the airport getting on a plane ready to come home, and we all had our Team GB jackets on, and this little boy, no older than 5, tugged on his mum's arm. They were right behind us in this queue, and said something, and his mum just looked at us, and we sort of caught her looking and said hello to the little boy, and she was like, "Excuse me, what do you guys do? Like, I've just seen your jackets. What do you do? My son's really interested in sport. What do you do?" And we were speaking to her, but it was really nice to be able to have a chat with him as well and just see his face sort of light up, even though he had no idea what we were doing.
But
he was just excited.
It's the representation that matters. You were representing your country, and he sort of saw something in your guys' faces that probably he was also going through. That could have been, young you at some point going to some sort of soccer event and things of that nature.
Yeah, I read a story years ago. I'm a big Disney fan, and I read a story years ago about a woman who her job was, she was a Disney princess. That was her job. And one day she had the day off. And one day she went shopping. And as she was on the bus going to the shopping mall, this was in Florida, I believe, a little girl tapped her on the bus, tapped her leg on the bus. And she obviously used to being around children. She knelt down and she said hello. And her mum said, "Don't bother people, darling. Leave people alone." And she went, "But mummy, she looks like a princess." And the woman had already gone down to this girl's height, and she looked up at her mum and she went, "Don't tell anybody, but I am." And the girl's face was like, and she said, "I'm having the day off, so don't tell anybody." And this girl was like, "Okay." And her mum said, "That was really nice of you, thank you." And she went, "You're welcome."
Oh, wow.
And so this woman did a little interview and told this story. And she said, the reason I did it was because I had no idea what those people were going through, whether it was a good time of their life, whether it was a bad time of their life. But hopefully I would have put some joy into that little girl's day and maybe fed her imagination just a little bit. And that's why I did it. And I just thought, you know what? That's so amazing. Like, nothing to do with sport, but as a sports person, you can still do that. And that's what it reminded me of when we saw this little boy at the airport. I just thought, yeah, let's just inject some joy, some hope, some positivity, because we have no idea who they are or what they're going through, whether good or bad or not. But why not just inject a little bit of joy and hope into this little boy's life? Hopefully he remembers it, maybe he doesn't, but it doesn't matter.
So not only do you just carry heavy barbells, you actually carry people's hopes and aspirations too, because when people see you on the podium there, you did say, yes, it's me versus me. But what about little Jane, little Sally, who feels seen? That somebody who looks like me is doing amazing and incredible things. So
yeah, for me, I want to go through my life, and if I can make one person's day a little bit happier, then I've done a good thing that day. you know. And for my clients, this is part of the way I coach. You know, they come in. Just last Wednesday, I had a woman, she come in to see me face to face, and she said to me straight away, I've had a terrible day. I don't want to be here. And I was like, okay, let's go. And we got on with it. And she ended up sharing on social media that she'd gone home and her husband had said, oh, thank you. You're in a better mood now. You know, so not only had not necessarily me, but the workout helped lift her day, but it also had that ripple effect onto her husband. Now, for me, that's more powerful than the workout. That after effect is more powerful than the workout, because this woman, you know, she's a little bit older, her kids have grown up and left home. But if that wasn't the case, if she had gone home to children, no matter what age, if she'd gone home to a family and then had to, you know, sit and have a meal with them, maybe, her mood would have rippled through that house for everybody. And obviously children are like sponges. I know this now because I'm a mom, right? So that's so important for me now to go, how can I make this better than the workout itself? So when they go home, they just have a better day, better evening, better night's sleep. That then has a ripple effect through everybody that they come in contact with that day.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you've just mentioned a woman who has a family, and the kind of people that you sort of work with are busy moms, returning postpartum. First of all, why this niche, and you know, why these types of people?
So before I had my daughter, my niche, if you like, was busy business women who were decision fatigued. So they were the women who made all their decisions, whether it be in their business, at home, with the kids, with their partner. So they just wanted an hour out of their day where someone told them what to do, how to do it. And they just got that mental break as well as the physical benefits of a workout. Once I'd had my daughter and I was learning what my body was going through, I'd done my qualifications for postpartum training years ago. So I trained pregnant women and postpartum women, but I didn't niche into that because for me, I didn't understand it enough to niche into there. Where when I'd had my daughter, and everybody's different, obviously, but because I'd been through that journey myself, I was like, right, I've got my qualifications already, I've got the knowledge already, but now I've emotionally and physically felt it. I feel like I can add that extra layer to my coaching. So I opened it up to overwhelmed moms as well as business owners.
Yeah, because obviously back then, before you wouldn't have understood the sort of pain or what their bodies are going through and things of that nature. So now that you've settled into this, what's the greatest myth that you hear about maybe postpartum lifting that you might want to debunk right now?
I'm not sure about postpartum specifically, but the biggest myth, I think, around lifting, especially around lifting heavy, is that women are going to bulk up and it's going to make them look manly. Now, that's not just postpartum, that's women anyway, but we are coming out of that now with the help and exposure of CrossFit, especially. That's helped women understand that, oh, maybe maybe strength is more important. And it's not, for me, in my coaching, it's not just about the way you look. You come to me and you go, I want to look this way, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, I want to do that. But in reality, lifting gives us so much more longevity with what we need in our lives. If we do this lift, this is going to help you carry the shopping for so much longer, so much easier. If we do this lift, this is going to help you lift your kids and your grandkids into a much older age. If we do this lift, this is going to help you just have a better quality of life. It's going to help you get up and down the stairs. It's going to help you get on and off the chair. It's going to help you get in and out of bed. It's going to help you in so many ways have just a more sustainable, pain-free life for much longer. And that's what lifting can give you that we don't quite appreciate yet. But we will.
But see, a lot of people don't quite look back into history, but I'd like to go there, and then maybe you can, debunk this for me a little bit. A lot of buildings, especially older buildings, are built out of stone. And most of that stone has been carried from one place to another, from the quarry to another by bare hands. And that was what people in the olden days used to do. And I don't think we can do that at that sort of level. And if you look at all the castles, all the walls that are built around, and all the stone walls and things of that nature, even the pyramids, I don't know how they managed to do that. There was a lot of heavy lifting back then. Where did we get it all wrong?
I think just our way of life changed, in terms of physical jobs just became less. More office jobs became available. More sitting down jobs became available. And then things like cars became more available. So when you weren't at work, you were driving more rather than walking more. Because cars became more available, your kids got put in the car rather than getting carried. So, carrying your kids is really heavy work. And we don't need to do it as much now as what we did. We don't need to carry the shopping 2 miles home anymore. We just put it in the car, right? Same with the kids. And from a food perspective, which obviously plays a huge part in our health and fitness and our strength, from a food perspective, fast food is so readily available now. It wasn't then. So we've come forward in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways, I don't think we have. I think we've gone backwards.
And you were talking about sitting, and they say sitting is like the new smoking now. How is that affecting our health and, the way that we operate? And it does seem like maybe 95% of some of the jobs that are out there is you sitting in front of some sort of a computer or a screen or phone.
And this comes into my niche for my coaching, because a lot of the women I do coach do have sedentary jobs. So what I say to them is just move your body. If you can take a phone call and you're not on a video, stand up, pace the room, get some steps in while you're on the phone. Really good for our central nervous system as well as anything else. Rather than asking somebody to make you a drink, get up, make your own drink. Right? Just get moving every day. And then when we can inject 3 to 4 30 to 60 minute workouts in there too, even better.
But I don't know if you've seen the busy ladies calendar of, like, there's kids, sports, work, housework, everything else that comes along with it. You know, some might actually say strength training as a busy mom is unrealistic or even dangerous. Where are you going to use all that strength at? You know, what would you say to things like that?
We can find time. There's always time we can find. We find time to scroll social media. We find time to watch Netflix. We find time to do other bits. We can find time to work out. We can do it. It's possible.
But Natalie, I don't know if the Netflix in the UK is the same as the one in Australia, because the one in Australia only gives you 15 seconds to decide what are you going to be doing with the rest of your day or your life.
Yeah, it's all about choice, isn't it? You know, at the end of the day, we're responsible for making our own choices. And if you choose to sit down for even longer during your day, that's a choice that you've made, and that's a choice you've got to live with. But you've got to live with the consequences as well, which is probably a less able body going forward, maybe even a more painful one. Who knows?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you've made really good choices. I mean, you've had your personal best. It was a total of 722 kilos, if I'm not mistaken, kgs.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, I wish it was. I wish it was that. It was no. So, yeah, the competition it was really funny. Before I had my personal best before I had my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came back after having my daughter, I was like, right, I need to get out of my head those best numbers because my body is not there. My body is very different. And not only has it got to build back up to that, but it's also completely different now. Right? Everything's changed, really, especially for the first 2 years after I've had her. So mentally, it was difficult, but I was like, right, these numbers are in my past with my old body. My new body doesn't need that pressure. So I have my personal best from before my baby, and now I have my personal best from after my baby. And it just so happens that my last competition, my personal bests have surpassed my before baby personal bests.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. Which was incredible considering she's not even 2 years old yet. But very, very proud moment.
Absolutely. Now, how does that milestone now shape your own coaching mindset?
Again, it's another layer that I've experienced, which means it's another layer that I can then pass forward to my clients. You know, one of the biggest things that you get, and I've had this for years, is you get women who are going, I want the body I had in my 20s, right? And you're like, this just isn't a realistic goal, because whether you've had children or not, your body's not the same. Your life isn't the same. Your body's going to respond differently to the things you were doing back then. And your lifestyle has completely changed, most likely, in all sorts of ways, whether that's kids or no kids. So we need to get an image in your head that is realistic for your life now, that is close to that, but not that. And that's the way I've experienced things. Like I look at old photos of me and I'm like, I would love to get back to that.
But
how realistic is that? Probably setting myself up for failure there. Let's not do that. Let's try and reframe it. And it takes a bit of time, but it can be done. And again, that is now an extra depth that I can pass on to my clients. And that's what I like about experiencing my own journey, because I can then talk from experience rather than from something I've learned out of a classroom or a textbook.
And you know what I like about that is it's safe, and it also doesn't give unrealistic expectations, because some people would not have gone through what you know, or the experience that you had, and they might actually push you up until you might actually hurt yourself and things of that nature. See, and there's certain things that we just have to admit. You know, back in the time, I used to go out partying up until, you know, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. But these days, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is gonna hurt tomorrow when I'm standing in front of other parents at the birthday party, and all the kids are singing, and it's gonna
And probably the next day and the next day.
So obviously, you know, and then you just, you know, turn it back a
I
little and things.
absolutely. A couple of weeks ago, I phoned my in-laws and I said, next Thursday, is there any chance that you can babysit for me on the evening? And they said, yeah, no problem. So took my daughter round and they said, we don't mind, but is it going to be a late one? And I was going out for dinner with two girlfriends. And I said, the girls I'm going out with, they want to be in their PJs by 9 p.m. So do I? No, it's not going to be a late one. And, you know, that's where I am right now. And I love that. I love the fact that I've got friends who are like that. I love the fact that I've got friends who are going, yes, let's have a kid-free evening
But
where it's just us, but I still want to be in my PJs by 9 p.m. Okay, let's do that.
you see, many don't realize how much mindset really goes into this. You know what I mean? People just maybe see you winning or doing all of these things, but there's a lot that goes into this: nutrition, mindset, just the way you're being, and also being careful when you're walking around so you don't hurt yourself or spraying an ankle or things like that. That could just put you out of commission for a while, you know?
Yeah.
Are there any sort of lessons that, like you said, some of these things you're also experiencing them as you go, that you now share with your clients that then ultimately build their confidence beyond the gym?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a big one. I get a lot of women, and have had for years, say, I'm not going to lift because I'm going to get hurt. I'm scared of lifting because I'm going to get hurt. But if you learn to lift safely, the likelihood is you will get hurt less in your everyday life because your body can cope with a lot more. And people that I've worked with, they used to get injured doing everyday things, picking up their kids, doing the gardening, doing the shopping, moving furniture. Like the amount of times I used to get a phone call or a text message going, I can't train, I've hurt my back because I did the gardening, because I had to help my husband move the furniture, I had to do this, I had to do. It was they never got hurt exercising. It was always doing something in life that they were doing. And as they got stronger and progressed with their lifting journey, the less that happened. And I remember speaking to women going, do you know the last time your back went was over a year ago? Oh, no, I've not realised that. Really? Yeah. Yeah, because I've looked back at the text messages and the last time your back went out was over a year ago. And they're like, my back used to go every couple of weeks. I'm like, yeah, I know. I had a woman whose daughter started horse riding. And she said, I can't horse ride with her because I know it's going to really hurt my back. Yeah, probably. You're probably right. 2 years later, my daughter's asked me if I can go riding. And I really want to do this with her. Not every week, just as a one-off. And I went, try it. Try it. And she went, I'm really scared that my back's going to go. It's a woman in her mid-40s. And I said, I understand that. And just listen to your body. Get on the horse. Tell the person who's leading you, I'm scared my back's going to go. I might have to get off. Explain it first. And then if you feel as you're going, this is wrong, get off. And she said, she messaged me afterwards and she was like, I did an hour on the horse and the reason I got off was because my bum was sore.
Not my back or nothing like that.
Because it's obviously it's a completely different sensation. And if you're not used to it, if you're not used to cycling, your bum's going to be sore because of the saddle. Same thing. And she said, but I'm so proud of myself for doing an hour. And I went, that's brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. But let's see how your back is tomorrow and the day after, because it could be a delayed reaction. Yeah, okay, great. Next day, she texts me, back's fine. Next day, she texts me, back's fine, I'm off to the gym. Brilliant. And that was it. Right? Now, for some people, that's nothing. But for her and her daughter, that was everything.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why I do what I do. For that. Not PBs in the gym, not big numbers in the gym, not workouts that are sweaty and intense and incredible and blah blah blah, for the impact it has in their everyday life, for that transfer that it has. Like I've got women who are in their 70s who have been with me for over 10 years and their goal is they want to be able to do their garden pain-free for as long as possible because they're retired. That's their goal. And as long as they have that, nothing else matters.
So you're literally giving people back to themselves.
I'm trying. I'm trying. But that's what I love about what I do. That's what I love about lifting. The transfer into your everyday life. That's what I love about it. I've felt it. I live it. And I see other women live it every day, and it's magical.
Now, if somebody's watching this or listening to this and also wants to at least, grow a couple of roses and, pluck their own beans and pea pods, tell us about your online fitness academy. What is it that you guys are doing there, and how can people be a part of it?
Okay, so my online fitness academy, I don't have anymore. I shut that down when I went off with pregnancy. Simple reason being, it didn't have the accountability that people needed.
Right.
And I didn't know how to put that accountability into the program without hiring other people in. And I wasn't in a position to do that. I didn't want to do that, but I wasn't in a position to do that anyway. And obviously, with that extra accountability, that extra time that I would have put in, it would have increased the price of the membership as well. And I kept the price point quite low for it to be accessible for more people. Where with the one-to-one training, obviously the accountability is there constantly, and that's one-to-one training. What I do now is I have a 6-week program called Lift with Intention, 6-week kickstart. And what that is, 3 workouts a week, video tutorials and a written description, based on your goals. So these are all tailor-made to you. These are based on your goals. We have a chat first so I know how to plan this out. You only get 1 week at a time. At the end of the week, we have an accountability check-in over message. How have you got on? How has it felt? Was it too easy? Was it too hard? Great. Then I plan the next week. You get the next week. At the end of that week, we do another check-in. It's not a check-in like, have you lost any weight? Have you lost any inches? It's a check-in like, was the weight too heavy? Was the weight too light? How many reps did you get? How did this feel? Did this hurt in any way? How did your body respond to this? Was there any pain? Was there any discomfort? That's the sort of check-in we get. Oh, you didn't manage to do all three workouts this week. Why? Okay, brilliant. So can we do 4 next week and catch up? Okay, great. This is how we'll do it. That's what our check-ins look like. And we get that for 6 weeks. And then after the 6 weeks, you either carry on without me or you go into another 6 weeks and we carry on. What a lot of people will do is they'll have 6 weeks and then at the end of the 6 weeks, they'll go, can I have a one-to-one session? We'll have a one-to-one session online. And then they'll go into their next 6 weeks and do it that way.
Absolutely. And how can people maybe find their way to this, or where can they go on the internet to find more information?
So my main platform is YouTube.
Right.
And I'm sure we'll put all the links in the description. So if you just put at NH Personal Training, you'll find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, but YouTube is where I hang out the most.
Absolutely. I'll definitely make sure that all those links are in the show notes. And I think you got it made there, because YouTube is the second biggest search engine. And a lot of people are doing a lot of learning from there. So you might as well create from within that platform. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Natalie, I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call today. I mean, your life story and your experience have so much value for those people that are seeking to do well. I mean, because I know you can't do well if you don't feel well. And, the way that you've been, helping other people do and have a happier existence is quite commendable. But you did mention you've got a 2-year-old at the moment and soon to be a 3-nager. Has she also started lifting heavy things, or are you gonna wait until
she'll be 2 in September, so she's not quite 2 yet. But I remember one of my clients sent me a 1 pound dumbbell and didn't think anything of it. I remember where I was the first time I saw her pick it up.
Oh, wow.
And I just watched her and she was just carrying it around. And I thought, okay. So I went onto YouTube and I put a lifting video on YouTube and I pointed at the telly and she just got her dumbbell and started doing this.
Oh, wow.
Just like dancing with it. And she squats all the time.
Okay.
She sits in a squat position all the time to play. And she's a very good deadlifter. She can deadlift really well.
All right.
But it's all through play.
Mm.
She's not at an age where I'm trying to guide her in any sort of direction other than healthy and happy. And I just want her to learn through play as much as possible. My husband's a climber. He does bouldering and she climbs everything. So he's very excited. But I think as long as she's healthy and happy, if we can install that, like I had, if we can install that, making being active just a natural part of your life from early age, it doesn't then ever feel like a chore. and you can deal with stress so much better.
Oh, absolutely. With the way life is just handing it to people these days, if you have an outlet, and especially if it comes with, because obviously that all, it just lets out a whole lot of things that are just, holding you back.
Yeah.
Natalie, I can't thank you enough for the time that we've spent on the call, and I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes below, because that was an incredible journey. I mean, you showed us really how strength training isn't just physical, it's actually transformative for identity and also motherhood and also just self-belief. Because if you can do better than what you did yesterday, not only are you strengthening your muscles, but you're also strengthening your own resolve and self-belief, and nobody can tell you nothing. So
Yeah. One of the biggest benefits you'll get out of it is confidence.
oh,
Your
absolutely.
confidence will just go through the roof.
Absolutely. Now, for those that are watching right now, if you've ever wondered how a busy mom can rediscover her strength, or if you want guidance that's fun, evidence-based, and also effective, I think Natalie's story shows you the way. Check out the links to YouTube in the show notes, and just maybe have a look at what she's been doing and also the response that she's getting from her clients. And obviously, if you've made it this far, I encourage you not to miss our next episode, where we're going to be exploring ideas and strategies to help you live happier, stronger, and more balanced. Because prosperity isn't just about fitness, it's also about life alignment. And if today's theme and story resonated with you, please share this episode with a woman or a mom who just needs that dose of empowerment. And if somebody has shared this with you, give them a hug the next time you see them, and just subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show, so that you don't miss out on any of these topics that we have. Now, thanks once again for tuning in. Stay strong, stay empowered, and be awesome. Bye for now.